Hello, this is my recording for the final exam for economics, and I chose the first prompt, why is economics useful for me? So to start off, economics by far has been one of the most applicable things I've learned in high school so far. Simply put, because when you get into the real world, you have to know how to function, you have to know how to save, you have to know how to do taxes, all these different things, and you need to kind of just understand where your place in the world is when it comes to the economic world. And honestly, just knowing basic knowledge about economics is pretty much integral for life, because otherwise you will just waste all your money, clearly as shown in some of the lessons. And basically it's just an essential thing for your life to be able to understand. The most interesting lesson or unit that I found was the whole thing of Unit 6, which was the government makes the economy choices to protect us. And the reason that it was so interesting to me was because I did not realize just how much the government tries to protect us financially. A lot of people say, oh, they don't really try to protect you, they just want your money. No, actually, like, a lot of what they're doing is just showing you how much they care. Like, for example, they're using their powers that they can to stop inflation from going skyrocketing. Instead, they just do a little bit each year. Because, I mean, obviously it's going to happen because money production and everything. But they try their best to not make it extreme, and they do their best to try and make everything stable. So that way, the codependent relationship of getting and receiving money between people and citizens, and then the government, they want that to continue without any type of problems. And then the reason that I believe it is so important to know about right now is the fact that the pandemic, coronavirus and everything, the pandemic has caused an economy crash. And this is shown, the fact that the government cares for us is shown through the fact that they gave us stimulus checks to try and help spark the economy, to help us be able to pay our rent, all that stuff, to be able to go out and buy things to help the economy somewhat stay together. The fact that they've given pensions and loans to small businesses to try and help make sure that not all of them go under. And they've given some people loans or like delays on their rent. That's just some of the ways that the government actually helps us stay a bit solid, not so much wavering in how much money we have. The thing that I learned the most, or the lesson that I learned from the most, probably was Unit 3, which was about being a valuable human resource. And the reasoning behind this is I had no idea how much I mattered within the economy. Like, I thought, oh, I'm just one person, it's not gonna I'm not gonna affect it that much. I mean, I spend money, I get money, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Turns out, I'm actually a pretty big deal. It's crazy how one singular person has so much impact on the economy. This would partially be because of the circular flow of money, where it's like if one thing gets jammed up, then everywhere else gets jammed up with it. And the current event that follows along with this, once again, is coronavirus. Seems to be all that we can talk about. But this idea of the circular money flow kind of explains why the fact that with all the unemployment going on, the economy is pretty much taking a really hard hit. Like, we're basically going back to 2008, but worse. The most difficult unit would probably be Unit 4, which is how the consumer affects the market and the market affects the consumer. So the reasoning I would put this was because I personally got my worst score on this specific unit exam. I got a 76 on it. And the thing that kind of made it the hardest for me was that there was a lot of convoluted terms and just like contradictory terms. And there were just so many different terms that all were so similar, and it just really was confusing. And I even tried studying, it didn't help that much. But once I took a look back at the test, it seemed to help me understand. like, for example, some of the things seem to be the exact opposite than what you would assume that they would be referring to. And the way that this unit is relevant to right now um, is that the economy halt because of coronavirus has kind of, like I said before, done a downward spiral to the circular flow of money, and neither the consumer nor the producer can survive without each other. So the fact that neither of them can really afford to support each other is fairly concerning. And if we don't get this to stop being how it is, the economy and the government, therefore, could possibly fall into a huge debt that we may never get out of, even more than we already have right now. The most relevant unit to me, just honestly, I know I mentioned this one before, but Unit 3, which was being a valuable human resource. The reason this one was so impactful to me and relevant was because I'm currently trying to get a job right now. I mean, heck, I'm pretty much 18, and my parents tell me that I shouldn't get a job that they can pay me, but I would rather go out and get a real job so I can actually earn my own money and not have them down my throats about it. And this was an important one to me specifically. Not only did I learn the most, but I also found it to be the most relevant because I wanted to learn my place in the world, my place in the economy, and this unit helped me do exactly that. And I was entertained pretty much through the entire thing, so that made it even more relevant. And the current event that I liked to tie with this was basically just the fact that everyone that either didn't have a job or is trying to find a job or got laid off of their job, they're pretty much struggling to find any kind of work to help pay the bills right now because of the pandemic. And people are just scared to go back to work because, like, for example, my mom, she's a hairstylist, she went back to work and she ended up getting coronavirus and she was in the hospital for 5 days. And honestly, I didn't know if she was going to live, so that's what happens. So basically, everything just revolves around the stupid virus right at the moment. But I hope that things will get better. And anyways, in conclusion, the thesis, or not thesis, the prompt was basically, why is economics useful for me? So to close out my statements, I would like to say that economics is useful for me and pretty much everyone because it's an essential part of life. If you're an American or just a human being in general that has cognitive thought, you will understand that the world revolves around money. We need money to survive. We need to have a job, a career, something to pay the bills. And we need to know our place in the world. We need to know how to spend our money, what to do our money, like what to do with our money, where to put it, how to save it, how to spend it. We need to know how to handle money because if we don't, then we could easily spiral into a debt or just be completely dirt poor and live out of a box on the side of Van Buren Street. Economics are useful to me because as a young adult, I need to understand where I'm going in this world, and without the proper knowledge of how to properly handle money and properly manage my finances, I will basically end up nowhere. Thank you.